Hello, my name is Joe Whitchurch, and I'd like to talk to you about something that's completely outside of my field. I'm a liberal arts guy. I majored in biblical studies, majored in Christian thought, systematic theology, philosophy of religion, and music. But I'd like to talk to you a little bit about science. So I'm putting on my science cap because I do minister to students at Purdue University with an organization you could probably figure out from my polo. Anyway, I'd like to talk to you about a video I saw once a few years ago by a man named Mike Rowe. I believe Mike still makes ads, and he's got a really cool radio voice and persona. And in that video, which is, I don't think any longer available on YouTube, Mike says, when somebody asks you if you believe in the Big Bang for origins, the question of where did we come from, why is there something rather than nothing, you should ask them, which Big Bang? And Mike postulated that there were 5 different Big Bangs. And I'd like to talk to you about this because I think there are actually 7 Big Bangs. And I'll go fast with this. The nice thing about the Big Bang is that it does reveal that there is a reason for why there's something rather than nothing, because something got banged. And we also realize that it means that our universe had a beginning. And that's good too for an argument called the Kalam cosmological argument and other arguments for fine tuning. And the scriptures talk about God spreading out the universe, and this would be consistent with the Big Bang. And also the Big Bang is actually pretty young, even at 14 billion years ago, for the sorts of things that ostensibly evolution has to accomplish in that amount of time. But so the first Big Bang would be the one that everybody knows, and it's the super dense matter exploding and giving us the universe, or the beginnings of the universe, and a lot of orbs or spheres spinning in space. We call them stars, composed of helium and hydrogen. But I would like to say that the bang before the Big Bang is, where did the super dense matter come from? The super dense matter is apparently about the size of a thumbnail, and it's what exploded and gave us all these stars coming out of it, composed of helium and hydrogen. So the first Big Bang is, where did the super dense matter come from? For the believer, I think you just say God. God is the creator. Second Big Bang is when it blows up, when the super dense matter blows up and gives us all of those billions of galaxies and spinning orbs of helium and hydrogen. The third Big Bang for me is when those helium and hydrogen spinning orbs called stars go from helium and hydrogen to the complexity of what we know today as the periodic table of all the different elements that we have discovered. It's quite a table, and it's quite complex. And it all came from an explosion that resulted in hydrogen and helium orbs or spheres spinning. So that's the third one, from the orbs to the periodic table. Fourth Big Bang is from the periodic table to the first simple cell. This is one that I think Dr. James Tour is incredulous about. There's no mechanism to get us from the periodic table of chemistry to the, quote, simplicity of the first living cell. How did this happen? And it was a protozoa floating on an ocean, a plant life thing at first. Simple cell, a plant life. Here's another Big Bang. How did you get from a plant life cell, simple cell, to the complexity of a reptile or a mammal? That's just a bang. Actually, they have another bang, the accepted one besides the Big Bang. This one's called the Cambrian explosion, where all this stuff just apparently happened in another bang. Well, here's another one. How do we get from the bang from the reptile or mammal, or simple mammal, I would assume, simple reptile, of barking dogs and elephants and whales, to a physiologically, visibly identical to a modern human, but soulless, ostensibly soulless ostensibly modern human creature called a hominid. How do we get from a dog and a reptile to a human? Bang! Another bang. Amazing. And then the seventh big bang. How do we get from these soulless hominid, quote unquote, beings to human beings who carve on walls and write their language, codify it, and sing and have suzerain vassal treaty forms and think about math and logic and truth and beauty and meaning and love and God and a creator? How do we get to that? So 7 bangs, which one do you believe in? I mean, I guess you have to believe in them all. This is why I believe some authors have written a book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. Too many supernatural bangings going on. And I think it's reasonable to ask questions about that. It's quite reasonable to ask questions about it. I wish more people did ask questions about it. Are you ready to think about it? Are you ready to consider the fact that there is a creator God who is an intelligent designer? I recommend the movie, The Story of Everything, for good scientific evidence on intelligent design. But I recommend the scriptures for understanding who God is and making theology great again and not accepting all those bangs on blind faith. I know there are classes spent talking about these things. I just don't have the faith to believe them. It's easier for me to believe in a creator. And I'm not looking for the easy path, but there is a thing called Occam's razor, where sometimes the simple solution is the best one. Intelligent design speaks to me of an intelligent creator, and that can get you a long ways in the conversation, especially when you realize our moral failings and our need of forgiveness and the person and work of Jesus Christ as represented in the Gospels. And the first paragraphs of John's Gospel are a great place to start. So I commend that to you today as you consider which bang you believe in and why. Thanks.